Canada's been
deciding about what to do about this procurement for more than a year now, reviewing that procurement. What are you saying to them?
Well, we're telling them that the premise that we've worked together on for so long. I spent a couple of days this week up at NORAD and Northcom, and again, meeting with lots of Canadians and Americans, and we had a system, and we have a system that has worked for a long time, based on the principles of interchangeability and interoperability. What you get with the F-35, you get the most modern airplane in the world, the best fighter in the world, and at the same time you get interoperability. It's worked in the past, it's working very, very well today, and I think it creates a great platform to aim at the growing threats and the more complex threats that the continent's facing.
Canada's committed to 16 F-35s. It has the option of more. If it doesn't exercise that option, if it says we're done at 16, what does that do to trade negotiations, USMCA, for instance, which is up for review?
Well, I think, again, what I've seen in the discussions with NORAD and the excitement that the people here on the base have with the Canadians coming and being ready to start the training relatively soon. Number one, that's not a decision that I expect will come out. The Canadian military, and I think a lot of people in the Canadian government are thrilled about this capability and this opportunity to work together. But they're two very, very different things. One of the things that I've experienced is, defense, it's about protecting our homeland and the challenges that we face, the more complex challenges we face every day. The trade negotiations, that's about how we move forward, on a trade front.
You don't see these two issues as connected?
I don't think you're going to find somebody saying, if you don't do this on defense, we're going to do this on trade or that. I don't see that coming from the American side.
Do you see the Carney government trying to do a grand bargain, saying, sure, United States, we'll buy these F-35s from you, but we want protections on auto or you name it?
That's not how we're going into it. The Prime Minister will have to speak for himself. The President has made it clear now for the last year plus now a couple of weeks. My number one focus is bringing prosperity back to America, protecting the homeland, and keeping us safe. Those three priorities were there on day one. They're still there, and we're not going to do trade-offs saying, well, hey, if we can get a little bit more prosperity and give up on a little bit on homeland security. No, the President's very, very clear. These are all priorities that he is focused on, that he wants to achieve, and we hope and we expect that Canada can be a great partner in reaching those objectives, both for the United States and for Canada.
Could the U.S. do more to get Canada's continued business on this?
Sure, we could do more. But again, it's not about doing more or less. It's making sure that we get to a fair agreement for both the United States and for Canada.
I don't have to tell you about the environment in which we sit as you and I are having this discussion. The challenge, I think, for many Canadians is they are being asked to spend billions of dollars buying a plane to help defend their country and their interests from a country that many Canadians see as the threat right now.
That's crazy. Okay, we're not a threat. Okay.
51st state, Greenland. Greenland's 26 kilometers away from Canada.
But Greenland is, the President announced that there was a framework agreement that's going to be worked out. That's great. Okay.
I mean, it came after threats to effectively annex the place. And I think a lot of Canadians have looked at that. If I look at polling, there was a poll that came out at the end of 2025 that said 72% of Canadians don't want the government to buy any more F-35s. They want to switch either entirely over to a Swedish fighter or do something else.
That's a Canadian decision. Okay, that's a national security decision for Canada. All right. If interoperability, if interchangeability isn't important to the Canadians anymore, they may go in a different direction. if they look at the long history of NORAD that has protected the continent, the North American continent, and say, that really hasn't worked, or that's not a framework to move into the future, they can move in another direction. Okay, we believe that NORAD has worked. We believe that the threats that are out there, both from nation states, but also the evolving technology that is out there, hypersonic missiles, all kinds of different threats that are evolving from a technology standpoint. If Canada wants to move away from the security framework that has existed for so long, that is a choice for the Canadians to make. Okay, and then obviously there's decisions then that if Canada is no longer a partner in securing the North American continent, then that means that there are decisions that America would have to make.
Do you recognize that many Canadians feel the relationship has changed, that if I use the Prime Minister's language, that there has been a rupture from which we will never go back?
I understand that there is the language in some of the rhetoric. I see millions of dollars of commerce going across the border each and every day. The last 3 days I've experienced firsthand how strong the military cooperation is, and how significant it is to keep our two countries safe. I'm talking to businesses each and every day about how important the relationship is to them and their future, and how they have created wealth and prosperity on both sides of the border. So, I see a lot of different things every day.
Would Canada face consequences if it said we're done at 16 when it comes to the F-35?
No, I mean, you've asked that question already. America and the President have made it clear, protecting and keeping the homeland safe is absolutely essential to us. If Canada can't be a partner in that process, then there obviously have to be other ways for us to meet that commitment. We see, and we plan for and hope for, a continuation of NORAD, NORTHCOM, NORAD modernization, which is something that Canada has committed to and invested, and promised significant appropriations for. That's something that America is planning for. Okay,
but you don't necessarily need the F-35 to stay a part of NORAD.
You need to take a deeper look at NORAD, and NORAD modernization, and facing the threats out there. The F-35 is actually a pretty critical piece of that infrastructure to make sure that we can handle the emerging threats that are out there. Now, it's a very complicated, multifaceted level of capabilities, and the F-35 is an integral part of that total mix of capability that you have to put together.
Yeah, you have probably better eyes than I do on the NORAD arrangement, but is it that if we don't have the F-35 that we can't be full participants in NORAD?
What it means is if you're not with the F-35, that the structure that we see for NORAD would have to be altered. We'd probably have to get more F-35s.
The United States would?
The United States would.
In order to?
Fully protect the continent. Yeah. Okay? That's the objective of NORAD. Yeah. Keep America safe. Keep the continent safe. And F-35s are a critical capability, as are over-the-radar, over-the-horizon radar systems.
I just want to fully understand the NORAD component here, because I think I hear what you're saying, that if Canada were not to go ahead with more F-35s, we already have instances where American fighter jets respond to incidents over Canadian airspace. That is part of NORAD. It happens on the regular.
Yeah.
If Canada did not have the F-35, if we went and got the Gripen, for instance, do you think that American planes would more often be in Canada?
If they change and decide we're going in a different way, then the folks at NORAD, which is a combination of American and Canadians, would have to say, okay, we're going with an inferior product that is not as interchangeable, interoperable as what the F-35 is, that changes our defense capability, and as such, we have to figure out how we're going to replace that. What are we going to do?
Do you have any idea when the Carney government's going to make a decision on this?
No.
What are you saying to them?
Like I said at the beginning, you've got a great plane.
Yeah.
builds on not only where NORAD has been in terms of interchangeability and interoperability, but is part of NORAD modernization. It's an integral part of it that interacts with a lot of the other things that Canadians and Americans are putting in place to protect the continent. We hope that you'll go in that direction.
What's the relationship look like between our two countries on the defense front?
I think it's awesome. All right, I was very impressed to be in Colorado Springs, and I've also been up to Winnipeg to see the NORAD function up there. But to see Americans and Canadians in the watch room, making the decisions about what happens if a plane comes into an unauthorized space, what happens when we identify a ballistic missile launch somewhere, anywhere in the world that might be targeting the United States of America. And Canadians and Americans telling you exactly how this process works, how we work together, how we get decisions made, by going to the Prime Minister, to going through an avenue to our Secretary of Defense, or ultimately to the President. How that happens, how much time they have in each kind of decision layer. Okay, once a launch is made, we've got X number of minutes before we've got to make a determination of whether we think that's headed towards North America. Then we've got another little window here where we've got to make a decision. But it's Americans, Canadians gathering the information, analyzing the information, and basically creating the data for the people responsible for the decision to make the decision. So in many ways it's seamless, and it has worked.
This will be my last thing, Ambassador, because I know you've got to get moving here. But Prime Minister Carney made a speech in Davos this week. Never said the United States out loud, but many interpreted it as speaking directly about the United States, using words like rupture. President Trump said that Carney better watch out in the aftermath. I wonder what you thought of that speech.
I think it's great that the President and the Prime Minister have developed a good relationship. This would be a great topic for them to get on the phone and work through it and talk through it. We've got a lot of decisions in front of us, whether it's the F-35, which I think is a bigger issue than just the F-35. It's about the national security of the continent. It's about the Arctic. It's about the emerging threats. It's about the economic relationship. There's a lot of things for the two of them to talk about.
Do they talk regularly?
They used to, yeah. I don't know I haven't talked to the President lately or got a reading as to how often they are, but those channels were established, and I think they both realize it's not really hard for them to pick up the phone and call each other, and so I'm sure that's still happening.
All right. Ambassador, thank you so much
Great.
for your time.
Thank you.